It's time to give you a fresh, new, updated 2024 SuperFlex rookie mock draft.
That's right, baby.
In today's draft, Badaki and I are going to be going back and forth and selecting players in the 2024 class based off of Draft Tech's latest 7-round mock draft.
Oh boy.
This was on January 18th, and we will try and leave a link in the description or the comment section or something, but you guys will be able to find this if you search it into Google. But
No question.
Badaki, PPR, non-tight end premium, Superflex. You've got the 101 here. What are you thinking with the first pick in a Superflex rookie draft?
First pick in a Superflex rookie draft. I want to go with a quarterback. Obviously, Caleb Williams going to the Chicago Bears. This is getting to a point where it's a little bit boring. Okay, let's move on. But to be honest, anything can happen. Somebody, maybe another team can move up. But in this world, once again, he's going to the Chicago Bears with DJ Moore and a whole new head coach, a whole new offensive coordinator, whole new regime, which could be really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like the top 5 are solidified at this point. It's just what order and where they land in the draft. All those questions we still yet have to have answered. But at the 102, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. It's actually a lot of people's consensus 101, I guess. But I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. here at the 102. He goes to the Arizona Cardinals with the 4th overall pick. It's a perfect landing spot. He's the 2nd ranked player in my Superflex rankings. He gets to link up with Kyler Murray. We know the deal. Instantly joins a team with a quarterback that can produce a successful fantasy wide receiver. No competition and a NFL-ready body set and skill set, rather, to succeed from day one. So I'll take him at the 102.
No question, that definitely...
There's probably less risk with him than any other name in this draft, is what I would say.
100%. He is somebody that I feel... I know there's a percentage of a bust for every single player. It just feels like it's very minuscule here with Marvin Harrison Jr. Doesn't feel like there's any sort of failure in his career. Once again, could be wrong, just the feeling. 103 here. I want to continue with the quarterback position. Drake May, my QB2 in the class, going to your Washington Commanders with the 2nd overall pick. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. You got big old Brian Robinson in the backfield. This is a perfect landing spot for any 3 of these quarterbacks, obviously, or honestly any quarterback that goes in the NFL draft this year, because of the weapons that he has around him starting, which is going to be really exciting. So Drake May at the 103.
And rumors of Ben Johnson to Washington as the head coach are heating up. And so maybe that happens by the time people watch this video, but that could be very exciting. Seeing what he's done with Jared Goff, turned around his career for the better.
100%.
That is quite exciting. All right, at the 104, I will grab Jaden Daniels. He goes to the Patriots with the 3rd overall pick. Y'all know I've talked about him before, how much I love him. I'm starting to see a lot of people come around on Jaden Daniels. There was a lot of disagreement with my love for him when we first started this process in December, but it feels like everyone loves the kid now, and I'm really happy to see that. But he goes to the Patriots, 3rd overall pick. Not a lot of weapons to really build around, but the good news is he's got great legs, so he can kind of manipulate the defense with his legs until they get good weapons in there. And who knows what happens in free agency? Maybe the Patriots give someone the bag. We've seen them overpay for assets before. So Jaden Daniels, I'll take him here. A little RG3 to his game, which is exciting to me. I'll take him at the 104.
Yeah, no worries here. All right, at the 105, I think a lot of people are probably expecting me to take somebody, but actually, there's 2 people I think a lot of people would expect, but I like the landing spot for this player a lot better, significantly better, and that is tight end Brock Bowers to the Los Angeles Chargers. You're probably saying, what about Malik Neighbors? I'm pretty sure somebody is going to be taking him here very soon. We can have a little bit of a conversation. But Brock Bowers to the Los Angeles Chargers. Is that Jim Harbaugh? Is that Bill Belichick? Is that insert elite head coach that is a free agent, essentially, that doesn't have a job, going to the Los Angeles Chargers with an elite quarterback in Justin Herbert here? Yeah, you have Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, Mike Williams, but Brock Bowers comes in and solidifies himself as, I would say, the number 1 option once, obviously, the Keenan Allens and Mike Williams go aheads and walks away. Brock Bowers here at the 105 for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you didn't take Malik. To me, I personally think that's an oversight because of the landing spot. I'll take
Sure,
Malik here.
sure.
He goes to the Titans with the 7th overall pick. So I do understand the concern around the landing spot, but for me, Malik Neighbors is in the same tier as Marvin Harrison Jr. I was considering him at the 104 instead of Jaden Daniels. This is my 3rd ranked player in the class. So I'm ecstatic to get him here all the way at the 106. Feels like a steal in my opinion. You know, new offensive coordinator coming into town. New head coach is what I meant to say. The former Bengals offensive coordinator. I believe his name is Brian Callahan. But
Right.
he comes in. We've seen what he has done with the receivers over there in Cincinnati. We've seen how he has helped Joe Burrow in his career kind of develop and blossom. So now he gets a new shiny weapon in Malik Neighbors. This entire offense, the entire offense would be built around Malik. So I understand people's concerns, but there is no concerns from the perspective of this is the guy unquestioned from day one. I think he's an elite talent. I think he belongs in the same conversations as Marvin. So to get him at the 106, I feel like it's a steal.
No, look, makes sense. I think this could be a reality. You know, maybe Titans do like him. They trade up for him or whatever the case may be. I think a lot of people will have a little bit of concern. This is why I did this, you know, for the further practice. I think if you're out there right now saying, you know, Malik going to the Titans, what's the quarterback position? Should I take Brock Bowers? That probably goes to the Chargers with the quarterback play. It just really depends on how you view it, how you feel about it at the time. Because if they're sticking with Will Levis, it's going to be a little bit more like, dang, Will Levis. Like, in reality, you're asking yourself those questions, right? Will Levis, Justin Herbert. Yeah, I mean, you have Malik Neighbors, who is a top elite wide receiver, and then Brock Bowers, who is the best tight end, collegiate tight end in years. So, very
Yeah,
interesting.
I would just trust the talent in that situation personally.
And that's
But,
fair.
I get it.
And that is absolutely fair here. All right, at the 107, I'm going to go with the quarterback here. My
Yeah.
next quarterback on the board in my
Okay.
rankings here, and that's brother Bo Nix. He does go to the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm believing in the talent there with, you know, Antonio Pierce coming in. We've seen getting that new head coaching job. He is going to be building around potentially a new quarterback. I do believe if Bo Nix does get drafted, and in this scenario, he gets top 15. He was the 13th overall pick in the NFL draft. That kind of means that they're going to be riding with him day one with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer there. Just Josh Jacobs comes back. I'm not necessarily sure. There's probably going to be a new offensive coordinator over there for the Raiders as well, depending on what Antonio Pierce does, and a new GM who is still looming in the back there. So I'll take Bo Nix because of the talent and because of the landing spot is actually really favorable in my opinion. So I'll take him here at the 107.
Yeah, in this mock draft that we're using for these landing spots that Draft Tech did, they played the scenario where it was like, what happens if all the quarterbacks go in the first round? And that's kind of what we're seeing here. Because I'm gonna take JJ McCarthy, who went 8th overall to the Atlanta Falcons. I actually prefer his situation a little bit more myself over Bo Nix's. When you think about it from the perspective of you've got a young Drake London, a young Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson on a long-term deal, who's a great pass-catching back. We don't know, again, who the head coach is for the Falcons just yet, but they've been sniffing around some really credible names. Bill Belichick, we've seen them talk to Jim Harbaugh. But the reality is JJ McCarthy gets to step into a situation that's not all that dissimilar to Michigan in the sense of it's a good defense in Atlanta, and you've got really good weapons all around you, probably an upgrade compared to the collegiate level, what you were working with at Michigan. And JJ McCarthy, it's funny because going into the college football playoffs, I said there's not a player I have more question marks around him, and I wanted a lot of my questions answered. They weren't really answered. We got a guy who completed 11 passing attempts and won the national championship. How are you supposed to really grade that and project that to the next level? But I think the hate has gone so far, Badahi. I mean, we talked about this possibility in a video, a couple days ago, and people were commenting saying, you don't have to be an expert to know that JJ McCarthy isn't a good quarterback in the NFL. And it's just hilarious because how are we supposed to know that at this point? Like, how is anyone supposed to say that with any sort of confidence at this point before he even touches the NFL field? The good thing for JJ McCarthy is he has traits that you cannot teach. He has the size. That's important in the NFL. He has the arm talent to make any NFL throw that you would want him to. That's important in the NFL. He has the athleticism. Again, all these kind of things that you cannot teach. Of course, needs to improve his accuracy, overall control of an offense. But when you're building, kind of molding a talent, just a raw talent, JJ's got a lot of those pieces. So if a team's going to bet on him in the first round, I'm not going to pretend that I know more about the quarterback position than an NFL team. So I'll take JJ. He goes top 10. I'll take him here at the 108.
Look, very interesting landing spot there with the Falcons. I say one of the most favorable landing spots for any quarterback going into top 2 there with the Washington Commanders for any quarterback to go to. So very, very interesting here. All right, I'm going to go back to the wide receiver position at the 109. Let's see if somebody else falls to me here. Rome Odunze to the Indianapolis Colts. Now, not the most intriguing landing spot here, but kind of like what Zach said, you go with the talent, kind of like he did with Malik Neighbors. I'm going with the talent here with Rome Odunze. He went with the 15th overall pick to the Indianapolis Colts. Does he stay here with Michael Pittman, or does Michael Pittman walk and they kind of reset that wide receiver market with have Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor? So I'll take Rome Odunze here at the 109.
Yeah, I like it. It makes a lot of sense. He's a clear value on the board and probably going to go much higher in real SuperFlex drafts. Like we mentioned, just the landing spot that we're using for today's draft is very favorable for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So that's why these guys are getting a little bit of a bump. And I'm sitting here, man, how do I make this decision now?
It's difficult.
We have another quarterback that was drafted in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in a SuperFlex league. I don't know how I don't make this pick. You and I don't project this guy going in the first round, but I'll take Michael Penix Jr. because he went in the first round, 20th overall pick.
Yeah, makes sense.
And, this is going to give the Steelers something that Kenny Pickett does not have, that ability to just distribute the ball all over the field. I wholeheartedly believe that Michael Penix has a better deep ball as well than the likes of a Kenny Pickett. So you can imagine George Pickens probably enjoying this sort of draft selection, but you've got guys over the middle of the field who are not able to consistently get the ball right now. Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth, even Calvin Austin's kind of, picking up some steam, a nice little role player. But in a SuperFlex league, a first-round quarterback still on the board, I got to take him, even though I'm not obsessed with this player. He is my 12th overall player in a SuperFlex rankings. I'll take him here at the 110 because he got first-round draft capital.
Yeah, look, and that's who I was kind of talking about, alluding to when I took Rome Odunze. I think I could have taken him there at the 109 because of the landing spot. I think the landing spot is actually very favorable with the weapons around him as well.
And that offensive line is getting a lot better.
Exactly. So he can easily go at the 109, or depending on who you really like. I mean, I can see a lot of people in the community who like Michael Penix over Bo Nix, over J.J. McCarthy, going at the 107, 100%. So completely agree with you.
And these videos are all about, trying different things and different exercises and playing different realities out, right? None of us know how the real NFL draft's going to go. So it's all about playing these different scenarios. And today, I think today's scenario is fun from the perspective of it makes every first-round pick so valuable. Like every first round pick is gold with the landing spots we're using today.
Yeah, completely agree here. All right. At the 111, I have 2 wide receivers that I can go to.
Great options here.
Really good options. I'm going to go with the pathway that I believe has the higher upside, in my opinion. He goes with the 29th overall pick. That is Brian Robinson. Now I'm going against my rankings. Brian Thomas, excuse me. That's a new one. Brian Thomas.
It used to be Brian Thompson. Now it's Brian Robinson.
I know. It's the whole new Brian. Anyways, Brian Thomas Jr. There is another wide receiver that's technically above in my rankings. But Brian Thomas going to the Buffalo Bills, I see the pathway a lot more clearer there for him to be the number 1 in my personal opinion. Stephon Diggs most likely has another year or two, in my opinion, playing with the Bills. I know there's a lot of turmoil there, especially not making it to the next round of the playoffs, which has been really frustrating for however many years they've been losing to the Chiefs, right? You see Gabe Davis most likely going to be, I'm 100% sure he's going to be a free agent going into 2024. Brian Thomas Jr. steps into this maybe wide receiver 2 role for 1 year and then steps into that wide receiver 1 role once Stephon Diggs is gone with Josh Allen here at the 111. So I'm going to take the big body guy here going to the Buffalo Bills.
Love that. Yeah, it makes sense. He's a great player. He's got ridiculous type of upside, so I don't blame you at all for making the pick. I'll take Troy Franklin at the 112 here. He goes in the first round to the Kansas City Chiefs. And honestly, I think he's the perfect complement, to Rashee Rice, to Travis Kelce. They need, a explosive athlete that can run routes well, that can get open, and that has sure hands. Now, Troy on film has 2 of those 3 things. We'll see what happens with his hands at the next level. But I love that he gets into the first round. He's connected to Patrick Mahomes. He complements Rashee Rice really, really well. I don't think this hurts Rashee. I think it helps him. And from Troy's perspective, if you're going to try and stretch the field, it's good to have guys like Rice and Kelce who work over the middle of the field. So I love this pick, and I'll take Troy here at the 112. Man, all these guys that we selected, first round draft capital, great situations.
Yeah.
I mean, super exciting talents in really exciting situations. But we're gonna get into the second round, but we want to quickly let you guys know that version 2 of our rookie report is going to be out February 1st.
That's right.
You can see an example here of version 1 from Marvin Harrison Jr.'s profile, where we dive into the exact attributes of a player from film grades, pro comps, projected draft capitals. Version 2 is going to have more players, more features. It's going to go even further in depth. So if you guys want access to that, go ahead and use the promo code LAND. Sign up to the Flock Fantasy website. And when you do that, you're going to get 30% off. Make sure you're a Mother Flocker member. You will unlock the rookie report V1 and V2 that's coming out soon. You'll also get a Dynasty team review from us on the live stream. Everything that you see here on the screen. So go ahead and sign up to support the channel and get some awesome perks in return. But let's get into the second round. Badaki, you're up here at the 201. What are you thinking?
Yeah, there are still 2 talents that went in the first round, 2 prospects that went in the first round that are still available. And I'm going to go ahead and take the guy that I know we don't like to take, but I'm going to talk it up here. Keon Coleman going to the Texans, I think it's a very interesting landing spot, because we've seen how many times have, CJ Stroud throw that deep ball all the way down the field to either Tank Dell or Nico Collins. Is one of those games going to be a Keon Coleman? Now, this is a more boom or bust approach. And one of the comparisons that you always bring, Zach, is Kenny Golladay, right? This is the Kenny Golladay role in the Houston Texans, where he doesn't necessarily going to get the crazy targets. He's going to get 4 or 5 catches, maybe for, 70 yards, 80 yards, and a touchdown. That's how, minuscule of a workload that he would need to be going to the Houston Texans with an elite quarterback. Now, in my opinion, he's the wide receiver 3 on this team, which will make it a little bit more shaky. But if, once again, Nico Collins doesn't get the long-term contract extension, then Keon Coleman can definitely step up here with CJ Stroud at the 201.
100%. So we've got Keon coming off the board. I'm glad you made the pick. So one of us had to.
Yeah,
one of us had to make the
I was
pick.
just going to get out.
Just let him sit there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a fun landing spot because you've got a great quarterback who's got pinpoint accuracy. That's exciting for a ball winner like Keon.
Yeah.
All right, I am on the clock. A lot of ways I could go here. Man. I think I'm going to pull the trigger just to get my guy early. I'm scared that you're going to take him. I'm not going to be able to hype him up. So I'll take the first running back off the board, Trey Benson.
Okay,
I'll take Trey Benson here. He goes in the second round to the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, in this scenario, they're moving on from DeAndre Swift the same way they moved on from Miles Sanders. It kind of makes sense because, at this time, we have no reason to believe that DeAndre Swift is a big part of their game plan moving forward. In today's world, in today's reality, this confirms it. They take a running back, the first one off the board, in Trey Benson. Love his game. I personally don't think the Eagles have had a player like this in the Jalen Hurts era at the running back spot. No disrespect to Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders doesn't have the kind of grit that a Trey Benson does. No disrespect to DeAndre Swift. No, he is not that big body, going to force missed tackles, punch you in the mouth type of running back. So I think it's an awesome change of pace to what they've had traditionally with the Jalen Hurts era in Philadelphia. I see a lot of David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, Rashad Penny in Trey Benson's game. I'm laughing because Penny was an Eagle last year, but I mean, coming out of college as a prospect for Rashad Penny. But I'm a big fan of his game. Great speed. I think he has good vision and just a bulldog that you want on your team. So joining a great offense behind one of the best rushing offensive lines in the NFL, I'll take Trey Benson at the 202.
Yeah, love the landing spot there for brother Trey. Oh, once again, still so many ways you can go here. I'll do Jatavion Sanders. This is the last player that was left in the first round. He does go with the 18th overall pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is kind of what we've been hoping for. We were hoping the Michael Mayers, the Dalton Kincaids to fall to the Cincinnati Bengals last year. They get their tight end now this year, going to, once again, the Cincinnati Bengals with the 203, a big body wide receiver, or tight end, excuse me, that can play in the middle of the field. And this is exactly what Joe Burrow wants, potentially needs with this offense, where maybe, T. Higgins is going to walk. What about Tyler Boyd as well? I know he is going to be up in question with and Jamar Chase. So Jatavion Sanders going to the Cincinnati Bengals with, going in the first round, which is exciting.
Yeah. That was probably going to be the pick if it wasn't Trey.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to get my guy.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I just wanted to grab my guy and, show him some love, but that makes sense. So Jatavion Sanders off the board, and we should not rule him out going in the first round.
No,
we really shouldn't.
I feel like he's been
that
overlooked.
Good of an athlete.
He's getting overlooked,
right,
in my opinion. Like, there's not enough hype, not enough talk around him. He's just like kind of like what we did today. He's getting forgotten, and he's fallen because he's a tight end, where we shouldn't be looking at that, especially the way we see tight ends be really successful this past year. So, I'm
not going to sit here and suggest that he. This is going to rub some people the wrong way, but I hope they hear what I'm saying. As a prospect, if he was in last year's class, which was stacked at tight ends, if he was in last year's class, I'm not saying he would have. Obviously, what we know now, Sam Laporta would have gone one, no question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Kincaid. They like Kincaid in Buffalo. But
yeah,
he would be in conversation for the tight end one last year, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. All these guys had
again, not saying he would be, but he would be in the conversation as a prospect when you looked at those guys purely as prospects.
Yeah, completely agree.
Okay, so Jatavion Sanders is off the board, and I get to make a fun pick here.
Okay.
I was a little worried, but I'm excited to get Adonai Mitchell here. I'll take Adonai Mitchell. He joins Jatavion Sanders in Cincinnati.
Right.
I'm assuming in this world, if you're adding a tight end in the first round, a wide receiver in the second round, T. Higgins is on a new team. You can't convince me that they're going to draft all these guys and spend all that money on T. Higgins as well. I mean, maybe they do, but it just seems unrealistic from a team building perspective. So in the world we're living in today, T. Higgins is on a new team. Adonai Mitchell becomes that second option. Oddly enough, that is one of our ceiling comps for Adonai Mitchell, a T. Higgins type of player. I think his route running goes a little bit underrated. Yeah, he has a lot of areas he needs to improve on as a route runner, but he's got a very good package. A lot of people just claim he's a size speed athlete. He has a much better base package than some of the size speed athletes in this class. Leggett comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about size speed, even Brian Thomas, I'm not saying Brian Thomas can't be better, but like those size speed athletes, he has a better baseline package as a route runner, as a separator coming into the NFL from day one than those guys. Not saying that he's a better talent, but in that area specifically. So he can fill those T. Higgins shoes for sure. Who knows what his ceiling is, but I love the situation. I'll take him here at the 204.
Yeah, love the situation there for Adonai Mitchell. Two offensive weapons for Joe Burrow. At the 205 here. Ooh, I just don't know what you're going to do. I think I'm okay with it, though. I'm going to take Xavier Leggett. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay. I'm going to go with Xavier Leggett at the 205. He goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars with the first pick in the second round. And kind of like what Zach said, size and speed, this is exactly what Xavier Leggett brings to this offense, a DK Metcalf type of build. And he comes in to be the wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 on this team behind Christian Kirk. I don't see Cal really coming back to this offense. If they do, they have to give up a second-round pick, if I'm not mistaken, and they probably just need to reset that wide receiver market here with Xavier Leggett, another big body wide receiver that can get on the outside and has the speed And this is exactly what you want. The concern is he's a late breakout, but still somebody that's going with a quarterback that we all know and love in Trevor Lawrence can definitely produce fantasy relevant wide receivers going there to be either his number one or number 1B behind Christian Kirk. So I'll take Xavier Legette here at the 205.
I think we all know him. I don't think we all love him anymore. There's a lot of hate for him in the community.
There is.
I am someone who still loves him. I'll just say that. I still love Trevor Lawrence. I still am in on him, but I'm surprised by the hate that we're starting to see. I like the pick,
It's
though.
concerning. But I hear what people are going in.
All right, I am going to take Jonathan Brooks. I'm going to take Jonathan Brooks here.
Okay.
He's going to come off the board at the 206.
I should have just
There
done it.
are
Should've did
wide
it.
receivers that I still love on the board, for sure. I'm not in love with where they are as far as where they landed.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas Jonathan Brooks, my RB2 in this class, would have been RB1 with no injury. He goes in the 3rd round and arguably in the perfect landing spot. He stays in the state of Texas, goes to the Dallas Cowboys. He gets to run behind that offensive line. He gets to catch screen passes from the likes of Dak Prescott. Who knows what's happening with Tony Pollard? Regardless, we can all agree if he comes back on a 1-year deal, if he goes in free agency, he's not the future of that backfield. He's a complimentary piece at best. So Jonathan Brooks comes in. He has time to wait, but eventually he can be the number 1 running back on the Dallas Cowboys with unlimited talent, flowing through his veins. So I'll take Jonathan Brooks there. Great as a receiver, and I would say probably the best vision on film this year of anyone in the class. So I'll take him at the 206.
No, I completely agree. Honestly, I could have taken him, at the 202. I wanted to see how far he fell. I waited one player too late, or I thought you would have
players I have ranked ahead of him on the board. I just hate their landing spots.
Yeah, and I thought maybe you would still go with one of those guys, but that's okay. Jonathan Brooks goes off the board, and I'm going to go with one of my guys at the running back position, the second running back that went off the board in the second round, the 207. One of my favorite running backs, and that is Bucky Irvin. He goes to the Green Bay Packers. I think this is one of the first time we haven't seen Trey Benson or Travion Henderson since the time before he said he was going back to college, that we have a new running back going to the Green Bay Packers, which is exciting. Yeah. And this is exactly what you want to see. I kind of compare him to a James Cook-esque type of running back. He is a smaller back, but in my personal opinion, he can get up and be the first and second and third down, the pass catching back, someone that could be a PPR monster in fantasy. Yeah. Going behind this Green Bay offensive line here with Jordan Love is actually very, very exciting here. So Bucky Irving to the Green Bay Packers with the way Aaron Jones is playing. New fresh legs going in with Bucky Irving. Now, Aaron Jones has solidified himself, no question. But I'm saying, the way he's running, maybe Bucky Irving can run in those same lanes. I'm hoping and believing here at the 207. Sure. So I'll take him here.
All right, Bucky's off the board. I'll take Tez Walker next, who goes in the 2nd round to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns kind of need a number 2. They need a secondary option they can rely on. No disrespect to Elijah Moore. Mm-hmm. Doesn't seem like he's that guy. He had a lot of opportunities, didn't necessarily convert. Some of it's his fault, some of it's not. Mark Cooper is still playing at a very impressive level. But you got a guy like Tez Walker who gives the Browns something they don't have. I've compared him a lot to Christian Watson, a good athlete who obviously still has question marks around his route tree, his separation, but great athlete, big play threat, can stretch the field. And that just opens up things for Amari Cooper. And he's got a great number 1 to kind of learn from right behind him. So I'll take Tez Walker there at the 208. I feel like there is a scenario here where you can think about how he becomes relevant quickly.
All right, at the 209 for me, man, this is a tough one here. I can go running. I'm going to go running back. I'm going to go Blake Corum here.
Yeah,
he does go to the Los Angeles Chargers in the 3rd round. And, Austin Eckler is gone, but he has the size. And not saying he plays like Austin Eckler, but he runs harder than Austin Eckler did in between the tackles. And maybe that's exactly what they still want, that a little bit smaller type of build of running back, but that has the strength that can still be the quote-unquote goal line guy, which is surprising for Blake, who is 5'8". What is he, 5'8", 220 plus pounds there. That's exactly what you want. A guy that can do it all and play all 3 downs. Going with the Los Angeles Chargers with a new head coach. Is that Jim Harbaugh drafted his own boy?
Yeah.
That could be it there at the 209. So I'll take Blake.
5'8", 213. Blake Corum is, but he plays like he's 230. You know, he's aggressive. Marvin Jones, Drew type of build, Ray Rice type of build, and the Eagles or the Chargers haven't had something like that, so maybe that's what they're looking for. All right, the slide stops here. I'll take Xavier Worthy.
Okay.
He goes in the second round, which is great, but he goes to the Eagles, and again, it's just how do you ever have a reliable fantasy weapon in Philadelphia? A.J. Brown's on a long-term deal. Devonta Smith, you're not going to overtake him for target share. Are you going to take over for Dallas Goedert as the third option? I don't know. We're already concerned about Devonta Smith's consistency. He was a first-round pick. He's a star in the NFL. Now you got Xavier Worthy, a second-round pick, the third, fourth option at times in this offense. It makes sense for this team, but as far as a consistent fantasy asset, a guy who has upside, a guy who's has a chance to lead his team in targets, that is not present here with Xavier Worthy. So that's why he fell to the 210.
Yeah, makes sense there. My goodness, where can I go here? There's still so many players. You know what? I'm going to take Jalen Polk.
Okay.
He goes to the Bears in the third round. Obviously, the Bears do get Caleb Williams with the first overall pick. They don't get Martin Harrison Jr., so DJ Moore is safe, and you need a new complimentary wide receiver too, because Darnell Mooney hasn't been living up to the hope and expectations. I think Jalen Polk can bring something a little bit more different. A bigger 6'2", over 200 plus pounds. You kind of reminds me of, Paris Campbell, Romeo Doubs, these complimentary wide receivers that can play a nice little role here. So I'll take him here at the 211.
All right, I'll go ahead and take my guy. Again, wish I could have drafted him earlier. Ladd McConkey at the 212. He goes to the Lions in the second round. It's, again, just like Xavier Worthy. Where is the true upside here? There's not a scenario you lead this team in targets. It's just not going to happen. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams. It's very messy. It's a good offense, but it's very messy. Same exact situation as Xavier Worthy. Their landing spots, I would say, Worthy and McConkey's, are by far the worst of any player in this mock draft that we're using for landing spots. So I'll take him there, but that is why he fell. Let's go ahead and make an all snubs list, though. Because there's definitely some other names that I wanted to draft. Jalen McMillan comes to mind. Unfortunately for Jalen, he went to the Steelers in the fourth round. That's, I would say, an even worse situation than, what Ladd McConkey and Xavier Worthy were in, because you don't have a quarterback that you can rely on there.
No.
You got Michael Penix Jr. Maybe he becomes the guy. But at the end of the day, you also have Pickens. You've also got Deontay Johnson. You've also got Pat Freiermuth. There's a couple other names I want to talk about. Probably Braylon Allen on this all snubs list. He goes in the fourth round to the New England Patriots.
I like that one as well.
The fit makes sense. He kind of fits this Patriots offense historically.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's definitely other names. Who else have you got on mind?
Look, for me, I can see someone like a Malachi Corley, who I still really like. He goes to the Los Angeles Chargers. We haven't spoken about him in a little bit. Yards after the catch type of running back. And I think that's also really exciting. Or wide receiver, excuse me. Also,
he actually played running back. He looks like a running back in the open field, so it makes sense that you would say that.
It does make sense. Aldrick Estime, he does go to the Baltimore Ravens, a bigger body back. Maybe he takes over that Gus Edwards role in the backfield. So I do like Aldrick Estime. And he went in the third round. So I don't think we should really sleep on him personally. And that's really, I mean, there's actually one more.
Jermaine Burton there.
Okay.
He went in the fourth round to the Cardinals. Love the player. Not obsessed with this landing spot, because you've got another one of my favorite sleepers last year, Michael Wilson, who's a very good route runner in his own route, or in his own line. Anyway, yeah, he's a great route runner as well. And Marvin Harrison Jr. there. It's just a little messy.
Yeah.
You were going to talk about Marshawn Lloyd?
Yeah, Marshawn Lloyd is probably the last one here that I would say. He does go to the Cincinnati Bengals in the 5th round. A PPR monster. You know, I know you said he kind of reminds you, or not reminds you, but he's your Bucky Irving. I love Bucky Irving. You love Marshawn Lloyd. There's a lot of upside with both these guys in the pass catching opportunity here. So Marshawn Lloyd probably taking over the role, or maybe a 50-50 role with Chase Brown if Joe Mixon is no longer on this team. So, yeah, I like this.
Yeah, he is my Tajay Spears, I'd say, of this class. So
there you go.
I'd also just throw a shout out to Will Shipley. He went in the 3rd round to the Chiefs. I think you and I probably dismissed this because we don't think it's a reality. And maybe that's on us. We should have lived in today's world. But if a running back goes to the Chiefs in the 3rd round, we should pay attention.
We were saying that last year.
We really struggle to see Will Shipley going in the 3rd round to any team.
Yeah, I completely agree. We were saying that last year with Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco, they're going to draft somebody. He was a 7th round pick. If they don't do it, they didn't do it last year. They're probably doing it this year potentially. But does he take over Pacheco's workload, even if he's a 3rd rounder? I don't think he has the talent, in my opinion, to take over Isaiah Pacheco. No. But anything can happen.
He could fill the pass catching role there for sure.
Yeah, he could.
And I guess the last one I want to shout out, a guy that we'll be talking about in version 2 of our rookie report, Jaheim Bell. He goes in the 3rd round to the Panthers. He is a very exciting athlete at the tight end position. Reminds you a lot of Chig Okonkwo. And the Panthers need receivers. So that is going to be it for today. Do us a favor, go ahead and like the video to show some love. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content. And we'll see you in the next video. All up. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy. Even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.